Chapter 55. All of a sudden, everyone's attention was on Yichen, because he was the last one. Yichen did not feel any pressure. He stretched his body and jumped into the air like a giant bird, lightly landing on the wooden shelf. Just this move alone had shocked all the participating disciples. Let's start. The exam master nodded. Yichen's talent was beyond his expectation. In time, he would definitely become one of the top inner disciples. Looking at the wooden shelf 66 meters away, Yichen felt that it was so close. When he was at the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10, he could already fly almost 100 meters in the air. Now that he had reached the condensing reality realm, 150 meters was nothing. If he could train a top-rank Mortal Realm art, 200 meters would only be a matter of time. With a slight whistle, Yichen took a step forward. His arms were wide open, just like a rock spreading its wings. His clothes fluttered in the wind. He moved very fast. Shoo! After 2 blinks of an eye, Yichen landed on the wooden shelf in front of him. The exam master yelled, "Good, pass." Brother Huang, this Yichen's movement art does not seem to be any weaker than yours. No, in terms of movement art, he is already better than me. My only advantage is that my Zhen Qi is slightly higher. TSK, the inner disciples can choose any top-rank Mortal Realm art. At that time, the only one who could compete with him in movement art would probably be the flying in the wind, Brother Feng. Comparing him with Brother Feng, you guys are overestimating him. Seeing that the second part of the exam had ended, the inner disciples who were watching the exam started to discuss excitedly, each with their own opinions. The exam master looked at the inner disciples who were in the middle of their discussion with a smile. What? Besides him, don't look down on Zhang Haoran and Wu Zongming, who were promoted to inner disciples a few months ago. Their talents are 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000. That's right. I know that Zhang Haoran, half a month ago, he beat Brother Gua, who was famous for his powerful attacks. A lot of people are still talking about him. This guy is arrogant, but he does have what it takes. Soon. It was time for the third test. There was another space behind the open-air field. It was an existence similar to an ancient arena. The center of the field had been dug out, and it looked like a circular swimming pool without any water. On the rock wall at the edge of the field, there were 8 black holes several meters in size, which were sealed with iron gates. The third test is to fight with demonic beasts. Those who can last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn will pass and officially become an inner disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. The exam master said to the remaining 4 people. The disciple next to Wang Xuemei asked, "Elder, may I know what level the demonic beast is?" Level 3. Ah! Rank 3 demonic beast. The disciple's face turned pale. If his opponent was an early condensing reality realm warrior, he would not be afraid, but a rank 3 demonic beast was different. Compared to human warriors, demonic beasts were born with powerful bodies and fierce auras. Under the same cultivation situation, demonic beasts were undoubtedly more powerful than human warriors. The exam master sneered, "You are afraid." The disciple did not say anything. If I am afraid of a rank 3 demonic beast, how can I survive in the martial world in the future? You know, the scariest thing in the martial world is not the demonic beasts, not the powerful warriors, but the human heart. The evil people are 10 times, even 100 times scarier than the demonic beasts. They can kill without spilling blood. The exam master said. Wang Xuemei looked at the disciple with disdain, and said, "Elder, I am willing to be the first one to take the test." The exam master liked Wang Xuemei quite a bit. He smiled, "Since you have just reached the condensing reality realm, of course we will not use the powerful rank 3 demonic beasts. The rank 3 demonic beasts for this test are Iron Claw demonic wolf, Leopard Tail wolf, Blood Pattern bear, and Black-shelled cow. Iron Claw demonic wolf. Leopard Tail wolf. Blood Pattern bear. Black-shelled cow. It is indeed not that powerful, it is only as powerful as a normal early condensing reality realm warrior." An inner disciple said. "Alright, the test starts now." Wang Xuemei, you are the first one. Wang Xuemei jumped down. She looked at the black hole that was sealed by the iron gate. She could feel an evil aura locked onto her. Ready? The exam master walked to the mechanism and asked. Wang Xuemei nodded. Crack. Crack. As the exam master opened the mechanism, the iron gate slowly rose up, revealing the inside of the black hole bit by bit. Awoo. Before the iron gate was fully opened, a huge black shadow jumped out of it, carrying a horrifying demonic aura towards Wang Xuemei. Cloak blade art. Wang Xuemei did not panic. She took out 2 short blades from her waist, and threw them out in a cross shape, landing on the black shadow's body. Chin. Sparks flew everywhere. The black shadow showed its real body. It was a calf-sized demonic wolf. Its fur was pitch black, and its eyes were red with a hint of green. Its huge mouth was slightly open, revealing its hideous canine teeth. Right then, its front paws were on the blades. It was fighting against Wang Xuemei. Piss off. Infusing her Jin Qi into the short blades, Wang Xuemei yelled in a low voice. Her body suddenly twisted. The blades were spinning like a spinning top. Shoo! The iron claw demonic wolf was extremely agile. It jumped out of the way, then jumped at Wang Xuemei from another angle. It was sly yet cautious, but at the same time, it could not hide its natural brutality. Wang Xuemei seemed to have experience in fighting against rank 3 beasts. She did not panic, nor was she greedy. Basically, she was using the strategy of blocking when the enemy came. The 2 short blades danced in the air so that not even a drop of water could get through. She protected her body, and from time to time, her blades would collide with the iron claw demonic wolf's claws, creating beautiful sparks. 1 person and 1 beast were evenly matched. Soon, the time it took for an incense stick to burn was up. Wang Xuemei, you have passed the exam. Congratulations on becoming an inner disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. The exam master made a gesture with his right hand, and the iron claw demonic wolf was grabbed by an invisible giant hand, and sent into the black hole. Then, the iron gate was closed, and the wolf could no longer come out. Wiping the sweat off her forehead, Wang Xuemei was a little shocked. This iron claw demonic wolf had been locked up for too long, and it was even more ferocious than normal iron claw demonic wolves. If she had not been trained like this in her family, she would not have been able to get out alive. Luckily, she had finally made it through. Now, she was officially an inner disciple, and was qualified to learn top-rank Mortal Realm manuals. In the future, she would be able to take on missions from the school, and travel around the world like the other inner disciples, making a name for herself. The next one to take the exam was the male disciple who did not perform well before. His opponent was the leopard tail wolf, which was famous for its speed and brutality. Within 10 breaths, the male disciple had been scratched by the leopard tail wolf and fell to the ground. At that critical moment, the exam master had saved him, but it also meant that he had lost the chance to become an inner disciple. If he wanted to take the exam again, he would have to wait for another 3 months. Then, it was the disciple who had passed the second exam with the exploding water spell. Although his flying art was not as good as the others, his attacking power was not bad. The blood pattern bear, which was not very agile, obviously could not hurt him at all. Instead, it was hit a couple of times, but of course, it did not care at all. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the second inner disciple was born. Yi Chen, it's your turn. The exam master was not worried about Yi Chen anymore. The only thing he was worried about was whether or not he could beat the beast, or if he could survive the time it took for an incense stick to burn like the previous 2. Yi Chen did not know what the exam master was thinking, so he jumped into the air and jumped down quickly. Chapter 56. The iron gate opened, and a majestic shadow with an extremely oppressive aura walked out. Moo! The black shadow roared into the sky. It was a demonic bull covered in black armor, with 2 horns that looked like sharp blades. The demonic bull was 2.5 meters tall. its eyes were as big as bells, and its nose was blowing out a whirlwind like air. Its hooves had sharp claws that were curved like blades, shining with a cold light. The black shell bull is the most powerful beast among the three. It was born with great strength, and its defense is extremely high. It will be very hard to beat it. I think it can only last for another 30 minutes. Obviously, the crowd did not think that Yi Chen could beat the black shell bull. After all, even some of the inner disciples could not break through the black shell bull's defense in a short time, not to mention Yi Chen, who had just reached the condensing reality realm. Different from the iron claw demonic wolf and the blood pattern bear, the black shell bull did not attack immediately. It kept its right hooves on the ground, and stared at Yi Chen with its bell-sized eyes. It lowered its body slightly. Tat 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 tat, after charging up, the black shell bull's body suddenly emitted a dark gray demonic chi. The dense demonic chi covered it completely, only revealing its two bloody red eyes. Then it started to move its hooves, and with a horrifying pressure, it charged towards Yi Chen, trying to kill him with one hit. At this moment, Yi Chen moved. The muscles on his right arm swelled, and he clenched his fist, pointing it forward. When the black shell bull was only half a meter away from him, Yi Chen let out a low growl, and punched through the demonic chi, landing heavily on the black shell bull's forehead. Boom! The hard rock ground cracked open, and the black shell bull's huge body was suddenly pressed into the ground. It was bleeding from every orifice, and its limbs were twitching. Killing the black shell bull with one punch. Gasp! The inner disciples who were watching the battle gasped, they were shocked. Wang Xuemei murmured, "How can there be such a freak?" After a while, the exam master praised him, "Well done. With your potential and talent, it will not be hard for you to make a name for yourself in the future. You might even be able to compete with the geniuses from other martial institutions, and bring glory to our Sky Cloud Martial School." Yi Chen's face did not turn red, nor was he out of breath. Just now, he had only used 70 to 80% of his strength. It could not be said to be strenuous. Hearing this, he said, "Elder, you flatter me. It doesn't matter if you've won or not. Everything depends on your own hard work. Otherwise, no matter how talented you are, your achievements will be limited. In the past 20 years, I've seen many unknown disciples soar to the skies, and I've also seen many talented disciples slowly fall. I hope you're not the next one." The exam master did not know how many times he had placed his hopes on Yi Chen, but unfortunately, in the end, only a few people were able to fulfill his expectations. However, Yi Chen was one of the people he had high hopes for, and he sincerely hoped that he could grow up and take charge of his own affairs. Alright, now that the inner court disciple assessment is over, the three of you, follow me to collect your inner court disciple waste tokens, clothing, and other things. The rest of you are dismissed. In the side hall of the examination hall. According to your body shape, each of you can pick 3 sets of inner court disciple robes. In the future, if any of them are torn, you can come here to change them. The exam master opened one of the rows of cabinets and said to Yi Chen and the other 2. Yi Chen fixed his eyes on the cabinet. It was huge, divided into 12 compartments, and in each compartment, there were 10 sets of white robes. All of them were of different sizes, and the sizes were marked on the outside. The 3 of them were very familiar with their own sizes, so they quickly picked out their robes. Then, the exam master brought the 3 of them to the armory, and let them pick out the weapons they liked. Yi Chen picked out a 4 feet long great sword, named Hidden Cloud. It was as famous as the colorful snow blade from the North Snow Martial Academy and the crystal sword from the Emerald Martial Palace. They were all extremely powerful weapons. Wang Xuemei picked out 2 dark purple short knives, named Purple Deer. The other disciple was not good with weapons, so he randomly picked out a dagger that could cut through iron like it was mud. At this moment, the exam master took out 3 dark blue colored tags from the box next to him. They looked like they were made of wood or iron, and seemed to be a bit heavy. Remember, you can't just throw away an inner court disciple tag. It represents your identity, and it is also the proof of your training in the outside world. When you are in danger, you can show the tag, and it might be able to save you. On the other hand, if you lose the tag and get killed, the Sky Cloud Martial School won't be able to handle it. You have to remember this. The exam master warned. Yes. The three of them nodded. Picking up a tag, the exam master concentrated his power on his fingers, and started writing on the back of the tag. His Zhenqi rubbed against the tag, and a light cyan smoke came out. After writing on the first tag, the exam master picked up the second one. Soon, all three tags had been written with names, so it was useless for others to take them. Taking over the tag, Yi Chen subconsciously used 60% of his power, trying to test the tag's toughness. The result was out of his expectation. There was no mark on the tag at all. Yi Chen did not believe it. He combined all of his Zhenqi with his strong power and poured it into his fingertips, and pressed on the tag. Sizzle. A thin layer of white smoke came out, but the tag was still undamaged. Releasing his Zhenqi, Yi Chen couldn't help but admire the exam master's profound cultivation. He was able to write the names of the three of them on the tag so easily. If that finger had landed on his body, it would definitely have pierced a bloody hole. Now, come with me to the ranking Jade Wall. That is the place every inner court disciple has to go to. The ranking Jade Wall. The three of them had heard of this place, but they had never been there. The palace in the middle of the mountain was called the Floating Cloud Palace. It was the place where the inner court disciples could take on missions. Outside of the palace was a huge square that was paved with white marble. On the side of the square, there was a jade wall that was 1 meter tall and 1 meter wide. It was completely white with a hint of cyan, and there were many wooden tags hanging on it. Right now, there were a lot of inner court disciples standing under the jade wall. They all raised their heads to look at the positions of the wooden tags and the names on them. Zhang Haoran actually climbed up another 10 places. He's now at 285th place. That Wu Zongming is not bad either. He is now 333rd. The most impressive one is still senior sister Su Jing. She jumped from 23rd to 8th among the core disciples, and finally made it to the top of the jade wall. While everyone was talking, Yi Chen and the other two followed the exam master to the jade wall. Greetings, Elder Tang. Are these three newly promoted inner court disciples? Although the exam master was only an outer court master, he was very powerful, even more powerful than the inner court masters. On top of that, he was a kind and friendly person, and was highly respected and loved by everyone. The exam master nodded, and said with a smile, "You guys have to work hard. Some of them have great potential. I think they are not below the top 400. Hee, we are working hard every day, don't worry, Elder Tang." Yi Chen didn't care about the others' conversation, he just carefully observed the huge jade wall. On the surface of the jade wall, there were many wooden tags, roughly divided into 29 rows. Each row could hold up to 20 tags, with different names written on them. Among them, Wu Zongming and Zhang Haoran were in the list. They were the third on the 17th row, and the 15th on the 14th row. The first and second rows were the wooden tags of the core disciples. They were bright red in color, bright and eye-catching, above everyone else. The third row was for the top 10 inner court disciples. Their wooden tags were light red, which meant that they had the ability to become a core disciple, and replace the position of the core disciples. The fourth row was for the inner court disciples with the most number of people. Their wooden tags were dark cyan, similar to the inner court disciples' tags. Chapter 57. The three of you, write your name on the empty wooden plate and hang it at the end. The exam master pointed at the last row of empty wooden plates and said. Yi Chen took down the empty wooden plate, and just like the others, he gathered his strength on his fingers and slowly carved 2 words, Yi Chen, and then hung it back. The exam master rubbed his temples and said, "The rules of the ranking, I will not talk about these trivial things. You can ask your senior brothers and sisters, they will tell you everything. If there is nothing else, I will leave for now." After the exam master left, the male disciple who had just been promoted to an inner disciple immediately asked, "Senior brothers and sisters, my name is Li Sheng. May I ask, What is the use of the ranking, and how do we rank? One of the inner disciples explained, to be honest, the ranking does not have any practical use, but if you really think that it is useless, then you are completely wrong. First of all, the ranking can stimulate the competitive spirit, no one wants to be ranked lower than others, and no one can just casually get a high rank. If you want to rush to the top, you have to rely on hard work and power. Of course, there are some people who are willing to give up, but after all, it is very rare, almost negligible. After all, it is not easy to become an inner disciple, everyone knows how hard it is. Most importantly, at the end of the year, the inner disciples who are ranked out of the top 500 will lose their inner disciple status, and become outer disciples again. If you want to recover, you will have to wait for half a year, and before that, there have already been 11 inner disciples who have been removed from the ranking. What a cruel competition! Yichen thought more deeply than the others. After listening to the exam master, it did not seem like a big deal, since only those who were ranked out of the top 500 would be removed from the ranking. As long as they were not too bad, then they would definitely be able to stay on the ranking. But the problem was, the inner disciples who were not ranked out of the top 500 would definitely not be willing to be removed from the ranking, so they would try their best to climb up. When a person managed to get into the top 500, they would be afraid of being pulled down by others, so they would definitely continue to work hard and fight for a higher rank, only then would they be safe. But this way, the other people who were pulled down would be anxious. Who would want to be ranked out of the top 500? Of course not, so they would also try their best to climb up, the higher the ranking, the better. In the end, the entire list would become a chaotic battle, and only a small portion of people would be spared. After becoming an inner disciple, he had half a year to train freely. Although he did not have to wait for half a year, he would definitely choose to train a couple of top-rank Mortal Realm martial arts. Even the King Kong Fist and the Golden Goose art seemed to be of a low rank. In the Pavilion of Martial Skills. Master, we meet again. This time, Yichen greeted the master first, and showed him his inner disciple tag. The pavilion elder exclaimed, an inner disciple token. Good boy. Hee, I just got promoted. Now I can go to the second floor, right? There is no time limit, right? Yichen laughed. Of course not, go ahead. After saying this, the pavilion master was stunned for a long time, then he said to himself, this kid is a genius, he was only at Mortal Realm Stage 4 at that time. Second floor. Standing at the entrance, Yichen thought to himself, from now on, I can stay here as long as I want. How great! There were not that many top-rank Mortal Realm martial arts, there were only about 100 of them. But to choose one that was suitable for him, it would be a bit difficult. First of all, he would have to choose a martial art. Before, the pure Yuan art had brought a lot of benefits to Yichen, so this time, he would still choose this type of Zhenqi martial art. Although the Mystic Gravity spell had special effects like the Mystic Gravity Field, it could only be used in close combat, so the overall evaluation would not be that high. 3 Purple Chi Flower spell, a top-rank Mortal Realm martial art, divided into 7 stages. Once trained to the 3rd stage, a purple Zhenqi flower will appear on top of your head. At the 5th stage, 2 purple Zhenqi flowers will appear on top of your head. At the highest stage, the 7th stage, Zhenqi will reach the peak of the 3 purple flowers. Azure River spell, a top-rank Mortal Realm martial art, divided into 7 stages. Once trained to the 7th stage, 1 purple Zhenqi flower will appear on top of your head. At the 5th stage, 2 purple Zhenqi flowers will appear on top of your head. At the highest stage, the 7th stage will allow you to complete your Zhenqi and gather all 3 flowers above your head. Azure River spell, a top-rank Mortal Realm martial art, divided into 7 stages. Once trained to the 7th stage, the user will be able to gather the surrounding water Yuan Qi and increase the power of his attacks. If trained to the 7th stage, the user will be able to increase the power of his attacks. If trained to the 3rd stage, the user will be able to use the power of thunder and lightning to paralyze the user's body. After reading 3 martial arts in a row, Yichen couldn't help but sigh. They were indeed top-rank mortal realm martial arts, every single one of them was extremely powerful. They were definitely not something a top-rank mortal realm martial art could compare with. The main reason why he was able to beat Huang Bingwen was that Huang Bingwen's cultivation was not high enough, otherwise he would have already killed him. As for beating Yi Tang and Yi Xian, it was all because of his powerful physical strength. His cultivation did not play much of a role. Thinking about it, Yichen felt lucky. If he only had these 3 martial arts to choose from, he would definitely choose the wind and thunder art. This martial art had a great effect on his movement skills, and in the later stages, it would be able to bring out the power of thunder and lightning. In his hands, it would definitely be able to bring out its full potential. However, it was still too early to choose, there might be better martial arts that he had not seen yet. The Lone Peak of 13 Swords was more than enough, since the complete Lone Peak of 13 Swords was also a top-rank mortal realm martial art. After leaving the martial skill pavilion, Yichen went straight back to his courtyard. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Early in the morning, a thin mist shrouded half of the Breeze Mountain. On a remote cliff, hissing sounds could be heard without end, dense and rapid. A gust of wind blew past, and the mist became thinner. A human figure could be vaguely seen standing there. In front of him was a huge rock, 3 meters tall, and had a black color. The sound came from the human figure. If you looked closely, you would find that the mist around him could not even get within 3 feet of him, as if there was an invisible chi shield around him. Not only that, all the mist that got close to him was shredded into strands and strands. At first glance, it looked like the steam from boiling water. The human figure was, of course, Yichen. Right now, his eyes were slightly closed, and he was using all of his pure Junjin Qi. After a long time, Yichen moved. With a wave of his hand, an invisible Qi light flew out of his hand and landed on the huge rock. Poof! Stone chips flew everywhere, and a half-foot-long mark appeared on the surface of the huge rock. The edge of the mark was as sharp as a knife. Poof! 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 The first Qi ray was already extraordinarily swift and fierce, but the following Qi rays were even more powerful. Every one of them was narrow and sharp, curved like a knife, and slashed at the huge rock, cutting out countless crisscrossing cracks. It was a ghastly sight. Zhen Qi like a blade, is this the 6th level of pure Junjin Qi? Looking at the scarred boulder, Yichen felt a little emotional. Half a year ago, his full-strength attack was only this powerful, but now, he could casually send out dozens or even hundreds of them, and still have strength left over. If this dense Qi aura hit a human body, they would be minced into meat paste. Intending to test the power of the Qi light, Yichen took a deep breath and straightened his right hand like a blade, waving it in the air. Ka-cha! In the blink of an eye, the huge rock was pierced through, and a hair-thin crack quickly spread out. At the same time, Yichen walked towards the boulder. When the distance between the two was less than 3 feet, the surface of the giant rock slowly caved in, and the dark brown stone powder sputtered out in a spiral shape, covering the ground. A moment later, Yichen was almost pressed against the rock. When he stepped back and left, he saw an oval depression on the surface of the huge rock. The surface was smooth and exquisite as if it had been meticulously polished. Good, this protective Qi aura is amazing. Yichen let out a sigh. The so-called Qi light was actually made up of countless sharp air currents. Any object that got close to it would be shattered into pieces. If one's Jinqi cultivation reached a certain level, even a well-tempered weapon would not be able to get close to it, and would be shattered into pieces. However, it was not easy to train to the 6th level of pure Junjin Qi. In the past 1.5 months, Yichen had trained his Jinqi for a total of 108 times. After every training, he would break it again and again. Every time, he would be exhausted and sweating profusely. Of course, it was all worth it. The power of the pure Jun Jin Qi had already been demonstrated. It was way more powerful than most of the Jin Qi, and it was only at the 6th level. If he could train it to the 7th level, he would be able to use his Jin Qi to create Qi swords. By then, he would be able to kill his enemies from hundreds of steps away, which was way more powerful than any other martial skill. Unfortunately, the more powerful a martial art was, the harder it was to train it. Although Yi Chen's comprehensive ability was already on the top, he was not confident that he could reach the 7th level in a short period of time, not to mention the peak of the 7th level, the completed pure Jun Jin Qi. I should train the crane shadow steps first. According to the rumors, there was a huge mountain in the west of the true spirit continent. There were thousands of years old spirit cranes living on the mountain. The wingspan of the spirit cranes was more than 100 meters, covering the whole sky. Every time it flew over the forest, a large number of trees would be broken. When it flew over the ocean, the waves would be hundreds of meters high, and when it flew over the desert, countless sandstorms would appear and drown everything. The 1,000-years-old spirit cranes were not demonic beasts. Some people said they were divine birds, while others said they were rare species that were raised by powerful ancient martial artists. All kinds of rumors added to the mystery of the spirit cranes. Therefore, every year, a lot of people would travel to the west of the true spirit continent, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spirit cranes. Whether it was true or not, the 1,000-years-old spirit cranes had been around for thousands of years. That was why they were called the spirit cranes. 200 years ago, a flying artist came to the west of the true spirit continent from thousands of miles away just like other people. After waiting for years, he finally saw the spirit cranes. Although the wingspan of the spirit cranes was less than 30 meters, it was still very magical. It could easily tear a small mountain apart with its claws, and when it jumped, it was impossible for the naked eye to follow it. With one leap, it could travel 10 miles. After being amazed, the flying artist spent years observing the spirit crane's movements every day, and finally created a powerful flying art. This flying art was called the crane shadow steps. However, no one had ever seen the spirit cranes before, so they could not bring out the essence of the crane shadow steps. This caused the crane shadow steps to decline, and eventually, it dropped to the top rank mortal realm. Coincidentally, the crane shadow steps manual was found by an inner elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and was stored in the Martial Skill Pavilion for his disciples to practice. Chapter 59. This secret was heard by Yi Chen from the Pavilion Master. The Pavilion Master was one of the practitioners of the crane shadow steps. According to him, with his peak-level early clasping Yuan realm cultivation, if he performed the crane shadow steps with all his strength, he could reach 200 meters in one leap, which was more than half the speed of sound. However, even the Pavilion Master could not fully understand the essence of the crane shadow steps, so he had to train a low-rank Earth realm movement art called the Flowing Light Movement Art, which allowed him to travel up to 250 meters in a blink of an eye, which was 50 meters faster than the crane shadow steps. 250 meters, more than 3 times of mine. Yi Chen thought that he was very good at movement art. He could travel 70 to 80 meters in a blink of an eye, and normal mortal realm warriors would not even be able to see his shadow. However, compared to the Pavilion Master, the difference was obvious. If the Pavilion Master wanted to kill Yi Chen, it would only take him one attack. Forcing a laugh, Yi Chen knew that he was biting off more than he could chew. What kind of cultivation did the Pavilion Master have, and what kind of cultivation did he have? The two could not be compared at all. Once he reached the clasping Yuan realm, 250 meters might not be that shocking anymore. Without further ado, Yi Chen took out the crane shadow steps manual from his storage ring and started to read from the first page. There were 3 key points to training the crane shadow steps. The first was the body movement, the second was the qi flow, and the third was the mentality. The body movement and the qi flow were not that important, but the mentality was the key. The practitioner had to imagine that they were one with the crane, that they could activate the mysterious potential in their body and increase their speed to a new level. It sounded easy. Wasn't it just fantasizing? Anyone with a bit of imagination could do it. However, fantasizing was just fantasizing. There were very, very few people who could really stimulate the potential in their bodies. There was less than 1 in 10,000, and there might not even be 1 in 100,000. It should be known that the human body was one of the most complicated objects in the world. Its mysteries could not be seen through in one's entire life. Only the fifth great realm of martial artists, the spirit ocean realm, could see the surface of it, understand some of the rules of birth, aging, sickness, and death, and apply it to themselves to slow down the aging process, living for hundreds of years. One more step would be the sixth great realm of martial artists, the life and death realm. Chapter 60. Inside the majestic floating cloud palace, there were hundreds of disciples gathered, and from time to time, there would be other disciples arriving. Stepping into the palace, Yi Qin looked up. The palace was still empty even though there were hundreds of people gathered there. The floor was paved with green steel stones, and on both sides of the walls, there were 9 stone pillars that reached the sky. They were green with a hint of red, and each of them had a flying dragon carved on them. Inside the stone pillars, there was a jade wall every 30 steps, and the jade walls were covered with paper. Yi Qin, you are here too. A person walked in from outside the palace. It was Wu Zongming. He already knew that Yi Qin had been promoted to an inner disciple, so he did not look surprised. Yi Qin turned around and said, I have been training for 3 months, and I felt that I would not be able to make any more progress in a short period of time, so I came to have a look. Wu Zongming laughed, I can't compare to you. I had to train for 5 months before I dared to take on the mission. Oh right, this is your first time here, so you might not know much about the school missions. Let me tell you about them. Thank you. Yi Qin indeed wanted to know more about the school missions. There are actually 2 types of school missions. One is the bounty missions that are entrusted to the school by other forces. For example, a small family can't do something, so they can spend a lot of money to entrust the school with the task. Then, the school will evaluate the difficulty of the mission and give it to their disciples. The other type is the school missions that are assigned by the school themselves, also known as the school missions. The rewards of the school missions might not be as high as the bounty missions, but you can get a small amount of soul stones. So if you want to know what kind of mission it is, you just have to look at the rewards. The bounty missions can only get you gold, while the school missions can get you both gold and soul stones. Yi Qin nodded, so that's how it is. Also, according to the difficulty, the missions are divided into several levels. The lowest level is the white mission, which is suitable for early condensing reality realm warriors, the gray mission, which is suitable for mid-condensing reality realm warriors, and the black mission, which is usually only accepted by late condensing reality realm warriors. As for the black mission, it is the elder mission, which is not something we can look at anymore. Now, look at the color of the jade walls, and you will know the level of the mission. Wu Zongming pointed at the jade walls in the palace. Hearing Wu Zongming, Yi Qin took a closer look and found that the 2 jade walls near the door were white in color, which meant that the missions on them should be white missions. According to the rules of the left side and the right side, the one on the left side of the door was for the school missions, and the one on the right side was for the bounty missions. Behind them were 2 gray jade walls, and behind the gray jade walls were 2 black jade walls. There were the least number of disciples standing there, only 7 or 8 of them. Most of them were at the late condensing reality realm, and there were even some core disciples among them. Clearing his throat, Wu Zongming continued, besides that, the missions of the same level are also divided into different levels of difficulty. They are 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, and the highest 5-star difficulty. With my current strength, I can only take on 3-star white missions. 4-star missions would be life-threatening, and 5-star missions would basically be a one-way trip. Yi Qin asked, can we form a team to complete the missions? Wu Zongming nodded and said, that's right. For example, I can only take on 3-star white missions. If I want to take on a 4-star white mission, I would have to find 1 or 2 inner disciples who are at the same level as me. In this way, once the mission is completed, I would be able to get more rewards than the previous 3-star white missions. Oh, is that so? Hearing Wu Zongming's explanation, Yi Chen's interest in the school missions had increased a lot. However, he did not plan to form a team with anyone yet. He would think about it in the future. Alright, I will go and say hello to a few of my senior disciples. I have teamed up with them last time. Wu Zongming saw that Yi Chen had basically understood the situation, so he did not waste any more time. Yi Chen thanked him again. After Wu Zongming left, Yi Chen first walked to the white jade wall on the right. Just as he expected, the white jade wall on the right had a bounty mission written on it. The reward was only gold, there were no soul stones. He looked down from above. On the first piece of paper, there was a black skull, and below the skull, there were words. Mission: eliminate the skeleton bandit group. Crimes: robbing passing merchants, killing people for their goods, raping women, heinous crimes. Strength analysis: the leader of the horse gang is a peak early condensing reality realm warrior. The second and third leaders are experienced early condensing reality realm warriors. They have 30 to 40 people, and dozens of powerful bows. Mission difficulty: 5 stars reward, 30,000 gold. Suggestion: 5 peak level early condensing reality realm warriors or 2 mid condensing reality realm warriors. After reading the description, Yi Chen gasped. This 5-star white rank mission was way too difficult. It turned out to be eliminating a horse gang. The more people there were, the better it would be. Even if one's cultivation was 1 level higher, it would still not be enough. If one was careless, he might even lose his life. No wonder it was suggested to have 5 peak early condensing reality realm warriors or 2 mid condensing reality realm warriors. If one went alone, it would be suicide. But, it was just a suggestion after all. It was aimed at the disciples who were not very talented. For a genius like Yi Chen, it was nothing new to challenge someone who was at a higher cultivation level. If he took this mission, Yi Chen had more than 90% confidence that he could complete it. But, would there be any problems if he took on such a difficult mission right from the start? After thinking for a while, Yi Chen decided to give up on the 5-star white rank mission for now. It was not that he was afraid of trouble, but he was just being cautious. He decided to take on a low difficulty white rank mission first. Once he had a thorough understanding of the mission's difficulty, he would then take on a high difficulty mission. This mission is mine. Suddenly, a hand pulled at the paper. With a swoosh, the mission list of eliminating the skeleton horse gang fell into the hand of the person who took the mission. Yi Chen turned his head and looked over. The one who took the mission was a tall teenager with a pair of thick black eyebrows. Just by standing there, his whole body was emitting an extremely oppressive aura, which made the surrounding disciples take half a step back uncontrollably. It's Senior Brother Wang. Brother Wang. Yi Chen did not recognize him, but the Zhenqi vibration coming from him was very strong. He was at least a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. The tall teenager chuckled, then turned around and left. Without being affected too much, Yi Chen put his attention back on the jade board and looked down. The third line. Mission: kill the bloody butcher. Crimes: raping women, killing people like flies. Analysis: peak early condensing reality realm warrior. Difficulty: 3 stars reward, 4,000 taels of gold. Suggestion: 2 peak level early condensing reality realm warriors or 1 mid condensing reality realm warrior. Yi Chen's eyes brightened. That's him. Chapter 61. The Bloody Butcher's power was at most equivalent to a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. Not to mention the current Yi Chen, even if he had just reached the condensing reality realm, he would not be afraid. To be honest, choosing this white rank mission was a bit of an overkill. After all, there was no need to rush. However, Yi-Chin did not think that way. This was only his first mission, and he did not want to make any mistakes. He had to make sure that nothing would go wrong. Once he had enough experience, he would be able to choose the more difficult missions. There were always missions, and it was not like this was his first time. There was no need to rush. Tearing down the mission sheet, Yi-Chin did not rush to leave. He turned around and walked to the white jade board. The first line of the mission was a 4-star white rank mission. It was obviously easier than killing the skeleton bandits. The reward was 5,000 gold and 2 low-rank soul stones, which did not seem like much at all. However, accounts could not be calculated in this way. The value of a low-grade spirit stone was between 1,000 and 1,500 silvers, but the key was to have a place to buy it. Especially for an individual, it was very difficult to buy a spirit stone. You could only come across one in an auction. Therefore, this was only the normal value of a low-grade spirit stone. Most of the time, it was not normal. Sometimes, a low-grade spirit stone could be sold up to 2,000 or 3,000 silvers. Because of this, although the rewards of the missions were low, they were very popular among the disciples who were in need of low-rank soul stones. Every time a mission appeared, it would be taken. There were dozens of mission sheets on the first line of the white jade board. Now, there was only one left. It would probably be taken by someone soon. Yi-Chin was not in need of soul stones, and the rewards of the white rank missions were too little. He did not want to join in the fun at all. When he walked out of the floating cloud palace, Wu Zongming happened to walk out at the same time. Yi-Chin, what kind of mission did you take? Yi-Chin waved the mission sheet in his hand, 3-star white rank mission. Wu Zongming laughed, just like you, I also took a 3-star white rank mission. Go to the Wind Chime town and kill a bloodthirsty two-tailed leopard. Two-tailed leopard, very fast. The two-tailed leopard was a rank 3 beast, it was not very powerful. It was about the same as a normal condensing reality realm warrior, but it was as fast as the wind, very hard to deal with. That's true. I need to go back and prepare. Let's talk again when we have time. Alright then. After parting with Wu Zongming, Yi-Chin saw that it was still early and walked down the mountain. Blackstone Village, a remote village near the Blackstone mountain range. The area of the town was not large, and there were no tall buildings. It was surrounded by a simple wooden fence. Its purpose was nothing more than to guard against sneak attacks from low-level demonic beasts. After all, demonic beasts frequently appeared in the wilderness. If one was not careful, they would become prey. On the road not far from Blackstone Town, the youth slowed down his horse. According to the information, the Bloody Butcher came to this area 3 days ago, and within a few hundred miles, Blackstone Town is the only place where people can live, unless he went somewhere else during this time. The young man was Yi-Chin. It had been a day and 2 nights since he had accepted the mission. During this time, he had traveled non-stop and arrived at Blackstone Town, which was 3,000 miles away. Whatever, let's go in and take a look first. With a slight push from his legs, Yi-Chin urged the dark brown horse to gallop towards the entrance of Darkstone Town. After entering the town, Yi-Chin got off the horse and led it as he walked. The environment of the town was not very good. The road was full of potholes, and the shops on both sides of the road looked very old, as if they had not been repaired for a long time. Compared to the windy town, this was like a village. The two were not even on the same level. Of course, Yi-Chin did not care about the environment. His purpose here was to kill the Bloody Butcher, and he would leave soon. In the middle of the town, there was a 2-story restaurant. Maybe this was the busiest place in Blackstone Town. On the 2nd floor, there was a burly man sitting by the window. He was wearing brown clothes, and his wild hair was draped over his shoulders. The hand that was holding the wine glass was thick and had thick calluses. It was as hard as iron, and it was slightly black. As for his face, it was very scary. The crisscrossing knife scars had almost ruined his face. Only his eyes were shining, and emitted a cruel aura. After eating a few pieces of beef and drinking a glass of wine, the burly man turned around and said to a teenager in purple, "Who are you? It seems like you have been staring at me for a long time." The teenager in purple put down the chopsticks in his hand, and said arrogantly, "You are the bloody butcher?" "That's right." The burly man licked his lips. "It seems like my luck is quite good. Do you want to kill yourself, or do you want me to kill you myself? Choose one." Hearing him, the bloody butcher laughed out loud. "You are just a small peak of the early condensing reality realm warrior. How dare you say something like that? You have underestimated me. Looking at your clothes, you must be an inner disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School, right? Unfortunately, you will die here today." He had killed many people, and was often chased by disciples from different martial institutions. But he still managed to survive. But last time, he was really unlucky. Chapter 62. Xinyang Palm. Ting Yunlong's palms released a layer of purple qi, which was extremely hot. Wherever it passed, the air started to boil like boiling water. When the bloody palm and the purple qi layer collided, the air started to twist. Then, a bright purple light exploded, trying to break through the bloody palm. However, the palm was extremely solid and had the effect of destroying Jin Qi. Once the purple light touched the palm, it was like snow in the sun, it started to melt. In the blink of an eye, 30% of the Jin Qi layer had been destroyed, and the remaining 70% had been destroyed immediately. Puff! Ting Yunlong spat out a mouthful of blood. He was blown away. The bloody butcher would not give up on such a great opportunity. He chased after Ting Yunlong as he landed on the ground. He laughed arrogantly, "Although my qi slaughtering bloody hand is a top-rank mortal realm martial skill, it specializes in destroying Jin Qi. Plus, you did not have time to accumulate your power, you could only use 70% of your power. You are no match for me. Bloody butcher, do you really think I am a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered by you?" Hearing this, a ferocious expression flashed across Ting Yunlong's face. As he retreated, he reached into his robe and took out a pill. This pill was about the size of a longan fruit. Its surface was crystal clear and it contained a red light that resembled a raging flame. Ting Yunlong swallowed the pellet without any hesitation. His purple robe started to flutter in the air, it was obvious that he was using all of his Jin Qi. The next second, Ting Yunlong's face turned bright red, his earthworm-sized veins popped up under his skin, reaching all the way to his hair. The bloody butcher was shocked. Heart-burning pellet. Ka la la. The ground cracked under Ting Yunlong's feet. Ting Yunlong stopped moving backward, his body was surrounded by a faint red light, his aura was no weaker than a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. That's right, it is our martial institution's heart-burning pellet. Within 15 minutes after swallowing it, your Jin Qi will start to boil, it will increase your cultivation by 1 level. Plus, the effect of the pellet will be endless, and all of your previous injuries will be suppressed. As Ting Yunlong spoke, he put his right hand 3 inches away from his dantian and slowly pulled it up, as if he was preparing for the last moment to bring the pellet's effect to its peak. Before this, there were already a lot of onlookers, some of them were lone travelers, and Yi Chen was one of them. I did not expect an inner disciple from the Purple Sun Martial School to be ahead of me. This is going to be a bit troublesome. But luckily, the bloody butcher is not that easy to take care of. His power is not that important, he is only as powerful as a normal mid-condensing reality realm warrior, but he is very experienced, he can use his power to 120%. Even a mid-condensing reality realm warrior would not be able to do anything to him. Holding his horse and standing at the back of the crowd, Yi Chen thought to himself. Seeing what had happened to Ting Yunlong, and hearing the bloody butcher talk about the heart-burning pellet, Yi Chen realized that Ting Yunlong still had a way to save his life. The heart-burning pellet was unique to the Purple Young Martial School. They could only make less than 10 of them in a year, and each of them could be sold for more than 10,000 silvers. It was something that many warriors wanted. It seemed like Ting Yunlong wanted to kill the bloody butcher at all costs. After all, a heart-burning pellet was worth tens of thousands of silvers, and killing the bloody butcher would only be worth 4,000 silvers. It would be a waste to kill the bloody butcher. Brat, so what if you took the heart-burning pellet? Die. Ting Yunlong even had a heart-burning pellet. He was obviously valued by the Purple Young Martial School. Maybe he had other valuable things with him. Thinking about this, the bloody butcher's aura grew even stronger, and he threw a palm attack towards Ting Yunlong. Shoo! The air was pierced through by the bloody palm attack, bringing up waves of ripples. It looked like it was going to kill Ting Yunlong with one hit. Ting Yunlong let out a long roar, and the red light around his body suddenly increased by 30%. The strong Jin Qi vibration made the windows around them shake, making creaking sounds. You want to kill me? Die. Ting Yunlong did not move back. Instead, he drew a half circle in the air with his right hand. A purple and red ball of qi came together and turned into a light ball, flying towards the bloody palm attack. Boom boom boom. The buildings on both sides of the street cracked open, and a shockwave that was powerful enough to kill a tiger spread out in all directions, blowing away all the people who were watching the fight from afar. The two of them each took 3 steps back, and then started fighting again. Boom 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 boom. The wind from their palms whistled, and the shadows of their figures overlapped one another. The crackling sounds of energy explosions rang out incessantly. The two of them fought from the east to the west, from the street to the rooftop of the restaurant. They fought everywhere. After a while, a shadow suddenly flew back and landed on top of a house. It was the bloody butcher. Trying to buy time. No way. Ting Yunlong sneered. He jumped towards his opponent and threw out a palm attack. The bloody butcher did not seem to want to dodge. He slightly spread his legs and straightened his right palm, taking Ting Yunlong's attack head-on. Dong! Ah! After the loud sound, there was a scream. Ting Yunlong's body was smashed into the wall of the restaurant. His eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost. He said weakly, "You are so despicable. How could you hide your real power?" Hee, I had already reached the mid-condensing reality realm half a month ago. I was just afraid that I would be chased by people who were even more powerful than me, so I had to hide my real power. This way, I could live a free life, play with you so-called martial disciples, and get a lot of wealth from you. Why not? The bloody butcher paused for a second, then continued, "After I get all your wealth, I will leave the Windy Nation and go to another nation, then I will change my name. By then, no one will be able to find me, ha 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 ha." At the end of his speech, the bloody butcher laughed proudly. Although he was not very powerful, he had played with a lot of beautiful women. Some of them were from big families. He had killed so many people that he had lost count. At least, he could fill up this restaurant. However, he was lucky. He was still alive, and he had more than $1 million with him. No matter where he went, he could make a name for himself. Ting Yunlong's eyes were wide open, and he breathed his last breath unwillingly. At the moment of his death, he regretted not running away, he regretted accepting this task, and he regretted encountering the bloody butcher, this evil and cunning villain. If he had a second chance in life, he would definitely choose to live on. He would not risk his life for the so-called fame. Seeing that Ting Yunlong was dead, the bloody butcher was still worried. He threw out a palm attack and shattered Ting Yunlong's chest, then walked up to him, ready to search his body. "The bloody butcher is so cunning." A clear voice came from the crowd. The bloody butcher stopped walking and looked towards the direction of the voice. His face darkened. "Who is it?" "The one who will take your head." Yi Chen slowly walked out from the crowd. Chapter 63. The bloody butcher glanced at Yi Chen. He was wearing a white robe, with a long sword on his waist. He was about 15 years old, handsome, and had a pure chi. The bloody butcher sneered, "It seems like quite a lot of people have accepted this mission. I just killed an inner disciple from the Purple Sun Martial School, and now another from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Will the inner disciples from the Rudra Martial School and the Emerald Martial Palace come as well? Unfortunately, you are even more stupid than him. You know that I am a mid-condensing reality realm warrior, and you still want to take my head. You really don't know how to spell the word death." If Yi Chen was a late condensing reality realm warrior, the bloody butcher would not even think about fighting him, and would definitely run away. But judging from the vibration of Yi Chen's Jin Qi, he was only at the early condensing reality realm, not even at the peak. Although that Jin Qi was a bit strange, it was extremely pure and sharp, as if it was made up of countless tiny blades, but it was still nothing to him. Yi Chen's expression did not change. He said, "You are only at the mid-condensing reality realm, but you can pretend to be at the peak of the early condensing reality realm. You must have trained some kind of supplementary martial art, right? I am very interested." This kind of supplementary martial art did not have much effect on increasing one's power, but sometimes it could be more effective than one's own power. For example, one could hide one's real power and wait for the enemy to be careless, then suddenly counterattack. Or one could suppress one's own power and enter some ancient ruins with restrictions on cultivation. The bloody butcher frowned. Yi Chen's calm tone made him feel a little bit of danger, as if something terrible was going to happen. But as soon as the thought appeared, he denied it. How could it be? An early condensing reality realm warrior, even if he was a genius, he would not be able to win against me. The inner disciple from the North Snow Martial Academy was an example. No matter how talented he was, he still died in my hands. Thinking of this, the bloody butcher grinned and said, "Dead people don't need to know so much." Earth explosion. Before he could finish his sentence, the bloody butcher stomped on the ground. The ground cracked open, and a pitch-black crack extended towards Yi Chen's location like lightning. Then, there was a loud explosion. The pebbles were like hidden weapons, shooting out in all directions, covering an area of more than 8 zhang. The buildings on both sides were instantly riddled with thousands of holes, and the people who were close to them were pierced into sieves. They fell to the ground in terror, dying with their eyes wide open. Looking at the site of the explosion, there was a huge crater that was 1.5 feet wide and 3 feet deep, and there were no corpses or bones left. Ha ha ha. If I, the bloody butcher, want you dead by midnight, I won't let you live until midnight. In your next life, be more careful. It had been a long time since the bloody butcher had had such a good time. He had killed 2 disciples from the martial school in a row, and it was as easy as blowing off dust. The only pity was that the 2 disciples had been torn into pieces by the explosion, and the gold notes were definitely gone. After a slight heartache, the bloody butcher thought it through. He already had millions of gold coins, and a little more or less didn't matter. The lone travelers in the Jianghu looked at each other. This bloody butcher was too powerful. An early condensing reality realm warrior could not even take one attack from him, and died without even a corpse left. Luckily, he did not lose his mind, or else he would be the one dead. As the bloody butcher was about to bend down and search Ting Yunlong's body, a sword light suddenly enlarged in front of him. What he saw was Yi Chen, who was wearing a white robe. He looked like a ghost under the sun, but he also had an otherworldly aura. He flashed past in front of his eyes at an almost instantaneous speed. Swoosh! A stream of blood shot out from the bloody butcher's neck, shooting out 3 meters away. "You are not dead." With every word the bloody butcher said, a huge amount of blood came out from his neck. Standing 5 steps behind the bloody butcher, Yi Chen put his sword back into its scabbard, and said lightly, "I wanted to talk to you for a bit longer, too bad." Bam! A self-deprecating look flashed through the bloody butcher's eyes. His head tilted and fell down from his neck. His body fell down as well, and his blood stained the ground. Turning around, Yi Chen slightly shook his head. If it was a real fair fight, it would take him at least 3 attacks to kill the Bloody Butcher. After all, the Bloody Butcher was more powerful than Cui Shiming, and in terms of cunning, even 2 Cui Shimings would not be able to compete with him. However, the Bloody Butcher had underestimated him from the very beginning. Otherwise, even if Yi Chen's sword could hit the Bloody Butcher, it would have been blocked by his protective Jin Qi. However, Yi Chen had forgotten one thing. After training the crane's shadow steps, his speed was unbelievably fast. Just when the Bloody Butcher wanted to circulate his qi, it was already too late. The Bloody Butcher had been cautious his whole life, but at the last moment, he had been careless. Of course, no matter how cautious he had been, the moment Yi Chen decided to kill him, his life no longer belonged to him. This was the absolute power, the absolute advantage, and nothing could make up for it. Those lone travelers who had not left yet had their mouths wide open, they were all shocked. All they saw was Yi Chen's sword attack, and then the Bloody Butcher's head fell off. They had no idea what had happened. Sword attack, head fall. What a clean cut, what kind of skill was this? Just like a killer hiding in the dark, if he didn't make a move, then he would definitely kill. This kid is terrifying. A lone traveler said in a low voice. Another person said, I feel like I see the shadow of young Master North Snow in him. He is also very young, and he also has the same ability to kill. However, if he wants to reach the same level as young Master North Snow, there is one person who is his biggest rival. Who? Who else could it be? The third disciple of the North Snow Martial Academy, Lynch. This guy is not very talented, but he can always do things that ordinary people can't. He defeated Quick Blade Wu Wanshan with only 10 attacks, cut the waterfall in half with 1 attack, and scared the red smelting bird off with his chi. The leader of the North Snow Martial Academy said that among all the disciples, he was the one who had the highest chance of learning the blade intent. Even young Master North Snow didn't get such an evaluation. Blade intent. Are you kidding me? Even blade artists who have reached the clasping Yuan realm can barely learn the blade intent. In the entire Windy Nation, only the leader of the North Snow Martial Academy has reached this level. What level are you at? What level is the leader of the North Snow Martial Academy? How could he be lying? Plus, he only said it was most likely, he didn't say it was certain. That's true. But this kid is much weaker than Lynch. He still has a long way to go if he wants to compete with Lynch. All the martial artists were discussing and expressing their own opinions. Yi Chen did not hear these discussions, he was focusing all his attention on the Bloody Butcher. As a bounty criminal, he would usually carry a large amount of money with him, ranging from hundreds of thousands of taels to tens of thousands of taels. This was also the reason why the disciples of the various sects went crazy. After all, once luck came, it was impossible to stop it, and one could become a millionaire overnight. Chapter 64. After searching all over the Bloody Butcher's body, Yi Chen did not find anything valuable, only a few hundred gold notes and some silver. Am I really that unlucky? No, this Bloody Butcher said that he had gotten a huge amount of wealth from the dead disciples of his martial institutions, and he also said that he would leave the Windy Nation and go to another country. There is no way that he only has this amount of money with him. Then, there must be something else. Yi Chen did not believe it, so he released his soul power and searched every inch of the Bloody Butcher's body. After a while, Yi Chen's eyes brightened, he reached out his hand and touched the Bloody Butcher's belt. Inside the belt, there was a small protrusion that looked like a ring. When he touched it, he felt a light wave of spirit chi. It's a storage ring, I see. Yi Chen could not help but admire the Bloody Butcher's cunning, hiding the most valuable thing inside the belt. If it were not for Yi Chen's powerful soul power, he would have missed it and lost the chance to make a fortune. There were too many people around, so Yi Chen poured his Jin Qi into his fingertip and quietly cut open the Bloody Butcher's belt. He took out the storage ring and put it into his own storage ring without even looking at it. As for Ting Yunlong's wealth, Yi Chen thought it would be troublesome, so he did not take it, in case the Purple Sun Martial School would blame him for Ting Yunlong's death. After searching the body, Yi Chen started to look at the bloody butcher's head. The head looked hideous, with countless scars on it. The mouth and the nose were indistinguishable, but the eyes were wide open, staring at Yi Chen. Shaking his head, Yi Chen took out a piece of black cloth from his storage ring. He reached out his hand, and the bloody butcher's head landed on the black cloth. Yi Chen quickly wrapped the black cloth and tied a knot on it, wrapping the head tightly. From the outside, only the outline of the head could be seen. With this, he could go to the floating cloud palace to collect the reward and record his score. Young warrior, you can't just leave like this. My restaurant is ruined, and so many customers died. What should I do? Thinking that Yi Chen was a disciple of a martial school, so he would not kill innocent people, the 40-year-old owner ran out with tears and snot running down his face. Yi Chen frowned. This restaurant was destroyed by the bloody butcher and Ting Yunlong, and most of the customers were killed by the shockwave from their battle. It had nothing to do with him. But now that the bloody butcher was dead, and he had all of his wealth, it would not be right if he did not pay for it. A thought flashed through his mind. Yi Chen took out 2 gold notes, each worth 1,000 silvers, and said, "Here are 20,000 silvers, it is enough to buy your restaurant and compensate those innocent people who died." Riding on the dark brown horse, Yi Chen left. On the road with few people, Yi Chen took out the bloody butcher's spirit ring from his storage ring and sent his soul power into it. Who? A faint vibration spread out, and Yi Chen saw the space inside the spirit ring. The space was 1 square meter, which was the size of a small room. It was filled with gold and silver, and the golden light made it bright. Counting carefully, there were more than 10,000 gold taels and 300,000 silver taels piled on the ground. There was also a stack of gold notes at the side, adding up to 60,000 silver taels. In total, there were more than 100,000 gold taels, which was equivalent to more than 1,000,000 silver taels. Even Yi Chen's father only had a few 100,000 silvers. Although he did not need to spend his own money, and everything was covered by his family, it was enough to prove his wealth. Besides money and other common things, there were a few martial arts manuals on the small bookshelf in the corner. Yi Chen moved his mind and took out the martial art manual from the top of the bookshelf. On the cover of the manual, there were 4 shocking blood-red characters, Blood Hand of Chi Butcher. He opened it. Blood Hand of Chi Butcher, top-rank Mortal Realm martial skill, the exclusive martial art of the rank 7 Evil Blood Martial School in Rudra Nation. The user needs to absorb the rare evil blood chi from the natural environment. The stronger the evil blood chi, the more powerful it will be. Once mastered, the user can easily break through the protective Jin chi layer of other warriors at the same level, and take their lives. It was a martial art from the rank 7 Evil Blood Martial School in Rudra Nation. Yi Chen was a bit confused. The Evil Blood Martial School was one of the top martial institutions in Rudra Nation, and their overall power was even higher than the Emerald Martial Palace. Their disciples were extremely evil, and they would kill anyone they wanted. Yi Chen did not know how the blood hand of Chi Butcher ended up in his hands. Chapter 65. On the horse's back, Yi Chen shook his head and put the bloody hand skill back into the ring. This kind of skill was too dangerous, and the martial institutions were most afraid of the martial arts being leaked out. Even if it had nothing to do with them, learning it would bring bad luck, and they might even lose their martial arts. Compared to the Evil Blood Martial School, a single person's power was too weak. Plus, no matter how powerful the bloody hand was, it was only a top-rank Mortal Realm skill, not enough for Yi Chen to take the risk to learn it. Putting his consciousness back into the ring, Yi Chen took out the second skill from the shelf. Looking at it in his hand, he realized that this secret manual was actually a secret skill that had not been made public. Earth Explosion, a top-rank mortal realm skill. The user needs to pour all of his Jin Qi into the soles of his feet and send it out through a special shockwave. It explodes when it reaches the designated location. There are 3 stages to this skill. The first stage allows the Jin Qi to tear open the ground and rush towards the opponent. The second stage allows the Jin Qi to hide in the ground and explode at a designated location. The third stage allows the Jin Qi to hide in the ground and explode from a long distance. Yi Qin raised his eyebrows. Judging from the realm described above, the Bloody Butcher had only trained to the first realm, where his attacks were relatively obvious. If the opponent had strong senses and was fast enough, they would still be able to dodge it. The second realm was a bit harder to defend against, where his Jin Qi could be hidden under the ground and appear under one's feet without a sound. If the opponent was caught off guard, he might actually be able to kill a warrior of the same level. The third realm was starting to get more insane, where he could hide his Jin Qi under the ground and control it from a distance. It was like controlling a landmine. Yi Qin felt lucky. If the Bloody Butcher had trained the Earth Explosion to the third stage, even if he could escape, he would still be shocked. And that was only because he had a strong soul power and was fast enough. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to dodge it in time, or they would not be able to dodge it. Of course, a secret skill was a secret skill, and it was much harder to train than a martial skill of the same level. The Earth Explosion skill was definitely not any easier than a low-rank Earth Realm martial skill. People who were not talented might not even be able to reach the third stage even after 10 years. With the secret skill in hand, Yi Qin would not let it go. He had made up his mind to train it and make it one of his trump cards. Next was the third secret manual, which was also the last one. The Hiding Qi spell is a low-rank Earth Realm auxiliary martial art. It is divided into 2 realms. In the lower realm, at the condensing reality realm, you can change the vibration of your Jin Qi at will and hide your cultivation level by 1 level. In the upper realm, at the clasping Yuan realm, you can hide your cultivation level by 1 level. Beyond the clasping Yuan realm, you cannot use the Hiding Qi spell. The sound of horse hooves had already woken up a lot of people. Many houses had their lights lit up. It was noisy and chaotic. Obviously, they were looking for someone. As the doors of the houses nearby opened, a group of people rushed out. Who are you? Why did you come to Yellowstone Village? Don't act rashly. We are not afraid of you. Yi Qin smiled bitterly. He suddenly punched a big hole in the ground. I just came to stay for the night. I will leave tomorrow. With my strength, it is too easy for me to do anything to you. You really came to stay for the night? The leader of the group was a bare-chested man with a hoe in his hand. He looked at the hole in the ground and swallowed his saliva. Yi Qin nodded. Do I look like a robber to you? You don't. The man looked at Yi Qin. He saw that he was wearing a moon-white robe made of high-quality materials. The corners of the robe could probably support him for a month. There was a sword hanging on his waist. He looked to be about 15 or 16 years old. He was handsome and refined. He did not look like a robber who would do anything. Letting out a sigh, the man said loudly, "Okay, everyone go back. This guy is not a robber." Hearing this, most of the people turned around and went back to their houses. Only a few people stayed to watch the show. The man did not care about them. He said to Yi Qin, "My house still has an empty room. You can come in and stay for the night." As for the fee, Yi Qin took out a piece of silver and threw it to the man. "That's enough. That's enough, that's enough. Chunhua, quickly tidy up the empty room for this young hero." The man beamed with joy and loudly scolded his wife in the room. Yi Qin looked around and did not see any house with a yard. He said, "Where do you think I should tie my horse?" "Horse. There is a broken tree behind my house. You can tie it there." The man stared at the dark brown horse and pointed at the back of the house. "Okay. He led the horse to the location. Just like the man said, there was a big tree that needed 2 people to wrap their arms around. However, it was broken and could not be seen from the other side of the house. After tying the rope, Yichen poured out a big pile of grass from his storage ring. He said to the dark brown horse, "Rest well today. We still have a long journey tomorrow." Swoosh! The dark brown horse puffed out 2 puffs of air from its nose. It lowered its head to eat the grass. Yichen was about to leave when he saw something strange happening in the night sky. He could not help but gasp. Is it a ghost or... Chapter 66. Above the misty night sky, a cluster of black shadow flew towards Yichen at a seemingly slow speed. As it got closer, Yichen finally saw the real body of the black shadow. 5 ghost-like human figures in white robes were carrying a huge coffin. The coffin was 1 meter long and 1 meter wide. It was completely black, and did not look like it was made from wood. Instead, it looked like it was carved from a whole black rock. It was heavy, creepy, but it also had a majestic aura. 5 white shadows were carrying a coffin, flying above the endless night sky. If a normal person saw it, he or she would have fainted on the ground, thinking that they were here to capture his or her soul and drag him or her into hell. However, Yichen was a martial artist, and once a martial artist reached the late stage of his or her cultivation, he or she would be able to turn the ocean upside down, go up into the sky and into the ground, reverse life and death, and control the natural law. Plus, these 5 white shadows were not ghosts. They should be martial artists who had trained some kind of special martial arts, as they were moving very fast, as if they did not have a physical body. Clasping Yuan Realm martial artists, they are definitely clasping Yuan Realm martial artists. Judging from that creepy and mysterious chi, they are even more powerful than the headmaster of the Sky Cloud Martial School, only slightly weaker than the leader Luo Xinglia. Yichen's soul power was extremely powerful. Once he glanced at anyone, he would be able to compare them with people he had seen before, and come to a conclusion very quickly. Therefore, even though he could not see through the cultivation of these white shadows, he was still able to analyze their power through comparison. A chill ran down his spine. Yichen could not help but wonder what was in that coffin. Was it a person, or was it just a dead body? The latter was impossible, as it would be too much to ask 5 late-clasping Yuan Realm martial artists to carry a dead body. There was only one explanation left, which was that there was someone in the coffin, a powerful martial artist whose cultivation was not below the astral reaching realm. Otherwise, there was no way that a late-clasping Yuan Realm martial artist could carry a coffin. An astral reaching realm martial artist. Yichen licked his dry lips, not daring to move. It had been a long time since an astral reaching realm martial artist had come out to the Windy Nation. The leaders of the top 5 martial institutions, such as the leader of the Emerald Martial School, the leader of the North Snow Martial Academy, the leader of the Purple Sun Martial School, the leader of the Rudra Martial School, and the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School. These 5 people were all at the peak of late-clasping Yuan realm, and were extremely powerful. However, the premise was that an astral reaching realm martial artist did not come out, otherwise, even they would have to stand aside. The sky was filled with dark clouds. 5 white figures carried the coffin and floated in front of the dark clouds. Their white robes were blown by the air currents, dragging very long. They were like the white impermanence who wanted to take someone's life, but also like a lonely and ferocious spirit. After a few flickers, the scene of the 5 ghosts carrying the coffin disappeared without a trace, leaving only the dark clouds that were still spreading. Yichen wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead, feeling a lingering fear. "Young hero, what are you doing outside? An empty room has already been prepared for you," the man said through the window in the room. "All right." After settling the dark brown horse down, Yichen turned around and left. The empty room wasn't big. There was a bed, a table, and a chair inside. There was also an oil lamp hanging on the wall. The oil lamp emitted an orange glow, barely illuminating the entire room. Rest well. Let me know if you need anything. I'll get it done for you immediately. The man standing at the door could not hide his joy. 5 taels of silver. The living conditions of Huangshi village were not high, but it was enough for his family to live for 2 to 3 months. They would rise from the ranks of being able to fill their stomachs to being rich. Yi Chen thought about it and said, "It might rain after midnight. Find some villagers to build a shed so that my horse won't get wet. Here are 10 taels of silver. Give it to the villagers who are willing to work." After saying that, Yi Chen gave him another 2 pieces of silver. Good, good, I'll find someone to do it right away. Only an idiot wouldn't do it. The man's eyes lit up as he respectfully took the silver from Yi Chen's hands. After the man left, Yi Chen waved his hand and the door closed automatically. Sitting on the bed with his legs crossed, he took out 2 low-rank soul stones from his storage ring. Yi Chen started his daily Zhenqi training. In the past, although Yi Chen was very diligent in his training, and could even be said to be very hard-working, he had not reached the point of forgetting himself. The so-called forgetting himself meant that there was nothing else besides training, and everything else would be centered around training. Anything that hindered his training, he would have to overcome or give up. Before, Yi Chen didn't think much of it. He thought that his training speed was fast enough. With his powerful body, he could absorb 2 portions of Yuan Qi from the soul stones at the same time. However, after seeing the 5 ghosts carrying the coffin tonight, he felt uneasy. His instinct told him that something big was going to happen. This big event might affect the entire Windy Nation, or even beyond that. As for whether he was overthinking it or not, he didn't know. But it was better to take precautions than to do nothing. The former could help him live longer. Yi Chen's Zhenqi started to circulate inside his body, one round after another. Late at night, there was a cracking sound. A few cracks appeared on the 2 low-rank soul stones in Yi Chen's palms. Slowly opening his eyes, Yi Chen let out a long breath. His breath was like a fog or an arrow, shooting out very far away. It even blew the wall on the other side of the wall, causing stone chips to fall down. A normal early condensing reality realm warrior consumes 1 low-rank soul stone in 5 days, but I consume 2 in 4 days. My speed is 2.5 times faster than others. But in terms of progress, I guess it's only 2 times faster. The quality of the pure Jun Zhenqi is a bit higher, so I need more Yuan Qi from the soul stones. Throwing away the cracked low-rank soul stones, Yi Chen felt even more grateful to the owner of the mid-rank storage ring. If it weren't for those 10,000 low-rank soul stones, he wouldn't have been able to absorb the Yuan Qi from the soul stones so easily. 2 low-rank soul stones in 4 days, 20 in 40 days, and 200 in 400 days. And that didn't include his breakthrough to the mid and late condensing reality realm. At that time, he would consume even more low-rank soul stones, which ordinary people wouldn't be able to afford. Of course, the Yi family could afford it, but it would be troublesome to explain. First of all, Yi Chen had to explain why he was consuming 2 times faster than others, and he didn't want to reveal any information about the pure jade body boosting spell yet. It was late at night, the crescent moon was covered by dark clouds, and the sky was dark. Without taking off his clothes, Yi Chen went straight to sleep, but he still had a little bit of consciousness. After midnight, just as Yi Chen expected, it started to rain heavily. The sound of the rain covered everything, washing away all the dirt on the ground. The rain didn't stop until the next morning. Unable to reject the man and his wife's enthusiasm, Yi Chen gave up the idea of leaving immediately, and sat down to have breakfast with them. They had a little daughter, who was only 3 or 4 years old. She was wearing simple clothes, and her eyes were big and watery. She was eating with a small bowl of food, and her voice was very cute, which was also one of the reasons why Yi Chen was willing to stay for breakfast. After breakfast, Yi Chen thought the little girl was cute, so he gave her a piece of jade. This piece of jade was not worth much, he bought it especially for the pure jade body-boosting spell. There were hundreds of pieces in total, and there were still a few left, each worth less than 30 silvers. Normally, he didn't care about it, but now, it was a good gift. As the little girl thanked him in her childish voice, Yi-Chin chuckled and walked out of the house. At the entrance of the village, Yi-Chin jumped on the horse and rode away. Chapter 67. The sun was setting, the bright afterglow shone on the windy mountain, dyeing it a pink color. Coming out from the horse farm at the foot of the mountain, Yi-Chin tidied up his clothes and walked up the mountain with some inner disciples who had just finished their missions. On the way, everyone was talking about him. "Brother Miao, I heard that you took on a 4-star white rank mission, you really impressed me. Brother Fong, you are flattering me. I only took on the most common 4-star white rank mission, I did not dare to take on anything too difficult. Compared to that Zhang Haoren, I am still far from it. Zhang Haoren, he is a madman. The first time he took on a 3-star white rank mission, the second time he took on a 4-star white rank mission, and the third time he took on a 5-star white rank mission. I wonder if he can make it back alive. It will be difficult. Although he is a genius, and he can fight those who are at a higher cultivation level than him, but he cannot beat those who are at the same cultivation level as him. Even those mid-condensing reality realm geniuses would have to be very careful when taking on a 5-star white rank mission. If they are not careful enough, they could still die. Last year, Brother Yuan died on a 5-star white rank mission. Yeah, Zhang Haoren is indeed doomed. But if he can survive, his future will be limitless. That kind of life and death situation, that kind of opportunity to fight against the heavens, can only be found by chance. If he can survive it, the warriors will improve at an incredible speed. On the side, Yi-Chin seemed to be thinking about something. He did not expect that Zhang Haoren, who had just become an inner disciple, would put his life on the line. It was like he was joking with his own life. This kind of person was definitely scary, because they were not afraid of death. They pursued the most primitive power, they did not care about life and death. Similarly, Zhang Haoren and Yi-Chin could be said to be very similar in some aspects. Both of them worked hard but were not blind. The first time he took on a 3-star white rank mission, he wanted to accumulate experience and familiarize himself with the process of the mission. The second time he took on a 4-star white rank mission, he wanted to level up step by step and feel his limits. When he reached his limits, he would challenge a 5-star white rank mission, breaking through his limits and achieving the greatest transformation. Imperceptibly, Yi-Chin had already placed Zhang Haoren on the same level as the 4 great young masters. This level wasn't based on strength, but talent, and willpower. Zhang Haoren's willpower was undoubtedly appreciated and recognized by Yi-Chin. As for Yi-Chin himself, time would prove. Arriving at the Soaring Cloud Hall, Yi-Chin headed straight for the side hall. "Deacon, I'm here to hand in my mission." There were many attendants in the Floating Cloud Palace. These attendants were not very strong, and their main job was to help the Flowing Cloud sect with missions. The middle-aged deacon sitting at the table nodded. "Where's the mission form and proof?" "Here they are." Yi-Chin put the mission form and the head of the bloody butcher on the table. The middle-aged deacon glanced at the mission form, then immediately opened the black cloth that was wrapped around the head. After a while, he said, "Not bad, it is indeed the bloody butcher. Congratulations on completing the mission. What's your name?" "Yi-Chin." "Wait, let me see." After becoming an inner disciple, all personal information would be sent to the Floating Cloud Palace for the deacon to look for. Soon, the middle-aged deacon found Yi-Chen's information. He then took out a black leather book from the drawer and started to record Yi-Chen's information and mission results. Name, Yi-Chen. Age, 15. Identity, Yi family's disciple, inner disciple assessment, excellent mission result, 3-star white rank mission. Once, take a look and see if there's anything wrong with it. The middle-aged deacon pushed the black leather book towards Yichen. Yichen only glanced at it and nodded, yes. Okay, now let's talk about the reward. Maybe you have just become an inner disciple, so you don't know much about this. According to the rules of the Sky Cloud Martial School, the school will take 30% of the reward for white rank missions, 25% for gray rank missions, and 20% for black rank missions. The reward for killing the bloody butcher is 4,000 gold, so after taking 30%, there will be 2,800 gold left. The middle-aged deacon put the black leather book back into the drawer and explained. Taking 30% of the reward was very high, but it was understandable. After all, the school had trained you for so long, so you should be contributing to the school. Plus, when you killed the target of a mission, you would usually get extra income, and sometimes the extra income was even more than the reward itself. After receiving the 2,800 gold notes from the middle-aged deacon, Yichen left the side palace. On the first day, Yichen did not accept any mission. The second day was the same. On the third day, the floating cloud palace became very lively. Zhang Haoran, who was thought to be dead, came back alive. He was covered in blood, and his murderous aura could be felt from far away. It attracted a lot of inner disciples to come and watch. Wu Zongming, who had already returned, had a complicated expression on his face. If this continued, he would never be able to catch up with Zhang Haoran. Zhang Haoran's determination had shocked even him. Wiping the blood off his face, Zhang Haoran looked around and found Yichen. He grinned and said, Yichen, I will be waiting for you in the ranking competition. Who is Yichen? Why did Zhang Haoran say he would be waiting for Yichen? Is he that powerful? It seems like Yichen had just become an inner disciple. How come he made Zhang Haoran pay so much attention to him? Hearing this, a lot of inner disciples were confused. Most of them did not see the battle between Zhang Haoran and Yichen. Plus, they were all very busy, so they had not heard about it. However, after this battle, they just needed to ask around, and they would be able to figure it out. Yichen said seriously, of course. Time flew, and another half a month had passed. During this period of time, Yichen had only accepted one 4-star white rank mission, and spent the rest of his time on training. As for why he did not accept 5-star white rank missions, it was because these kinds of missions were not always available. They were either too easy, which was below 4-star white rank, or too difficult, which was a gray rank mission, which was too time-consuming. More importantly, he could feel that his pure Jun Jin Qi was about to break through to the 7th stage. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by, and the earlier he made it, the faster he trained, the later it would be a waste of time. On this day, a big event that shocked the entire Windy Nation had reached the Sky Cloud Martial School. After many interactions, Yichen also learned about the details of the event. The Evil Earth Martial School, which was located in the northwest of the Windy Nation, had been wiped out overnight. None of the 78 clasping Yuan realm martial artists survived, and over 1,000 of their disciples had died. Only a few of them managed to escape. When he heard the news, the first thing that came to Yichen's mind was the 5 ghosts coffin carrying incident. The Evil Earth Martial School and the Sky Cloud Martial School were both rank 9 institutions, but the latter was the most powerful among the rank 9 institutions. It was not even weaker than the rank 8 institutions. Because it was not easy to increase one's rank, it would take a long time to be verified, and that was why the Sky Cloud Martial School was still a rank 9 institution. Otherwise, the Sky Cloud Martial School would not be listed among the 3 great sects. After all, there were already 4 rank 9 institutions in the Windy Nation. If the Sky Cloud Martial School was not powerful enough, the Sky Cloud Martial School would not even have a chance. In everyone's eyes, the Sky Cloud Martial School was no different than a rank 8 institution. Even so, the annihilation of the 9th grade sect, the Earth Fiends sect, still left everyone dumbfounded and terrified. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.